Hey everybody, I'm Quinn.
And I'm Scott, and it's time for the Almost Friday show for March the 8th, 2012.
Kicking it off and off the press, we're bringing back comic reviews. That's right, we got 2 comics to check out this week. On top of that, we also have a new host in our Off the Press segment. Sam is being joined by Beccy.
Yes.
We're going all girl for our Off the Press segment.
If you've been tired of looking at us, that's
Yes.
okay. We fixed that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we hope that it's going to bring some more interesting flair to the Off the Press segment. So stay tuned for comic reviews.
We're going to Tech Insight, and believe it or not, we're not talking about the Apple announcement first.
No,
We
but
will.
we will talk about it.
We will, because we have to. But really, we've covered it 1,000 times already.
It's true.
But we're doing a review hands-on with the Nokia Lumia 800 because Sam has one, like we told you last week. So we'll get her initial responses after a week of that.
And then in science this week, we're taking a look at a cheetah robot, which kind of frightens me, really.
Apparently, it's the fastest robot cheetah ever.
I really feel like it's probably like the only robot cheetah.
And if you were that other guy who has the second fastest robot,
It could be a really slow robot, but as long as it's a cheetah robot, it's the fastest robot.
Just put a robot with wheels and put a cheetah body on it. I think it'd win. I think it'd do well.
Definitely.
Then we're going behind the lens. We were reviewing iPhoto for iPad because that was really one of the most exciting things about the Apple announcement this week.
But without further ado, it's time to check out Beccy and Sam in Off the Press.
Hey everyone, welcome to Off the Press. So we're going to be joined now by Beccy, who will be, I don't want to say replacing Dave, but doing Dave's,
filling a gap that Dave left
yes, so filling in Dave's gap until he gets back.
in our hearts.
Those are literally and figuratively very big shoes to fill. Sorry, I had to go there. We love you, Dave. Hey. Hopefully the episode doesn't time out. Oh, that. Anyway, we're going to be doing a sweet new comic.
The sweetest new comic.
The sweetest new comic. So this one is by Hickman with art
Mr.
by
Jonathan Hickman.
a name I Pitara. Hopefully I said that right.
Pitara.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks pretty phonetic. So this is called the Manhattan Project.
And it's by Image, so it's one of Hickman's.
Creator-owned.
He bakes it whatever he wants,
Yes.
and it's awesome because it's Jonathan Hickman.
And he's writing the
basically.
checks to himself.
And
so
look at this cover.
very nice cover
It's
here.
the most beautiful cover.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who did it. We
No.
tried to find out.
So if you know,
Let us know.
Basically, what this is about is that basically the Manhattan Project and the atomic bomb is just a front for other creepier, weirder things.
Yeah.
There's been just in this first issue, there's been some supernatural stuff and some very cool sci-fi elements.
Yep.
And then really, it's hard to talk about this without
Spoilers, I
yeah, without
guess.
spoilers. So as you can see here, there's some supernatural stuff with portals and robots. Lots and lots of awesome robots.
Now, of course, it wouldn't be Hickman without a little bit of mind screwery plot twisting, so
Oh
get
my.
ready for that.
Yes, get ready for
Right
that.
at the end
because
there.
Last page, there's quite a bombshell. You are an artist.
I do draw.
You do those art things. What do you think about the art?
I think the art's pretty good. It fits in with what the general public's idea is of alternative comics. It's
Mhm.
not incredibly Marvel DC comic booky, which
Yeah.
I appreciate.
It's not super shiny, super.
Yeah, it's not airbrushed. It's a lot
Yeah.
of flats and stuff like that, but it's got it is an appropriate art style for the tone that the comic seems to be setting.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty pleased with it overall.
I generally agree. I like the art. The story looks like it's going in really sweet
I'm
places.
sure it'll get really confusing really quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but then culminate back. Be
The
awesome.
covers for the second and third one are out
Mhm.
now.
It's true. If you click on the link we
Ooh.
left, they have the next 2 issues worth, and they're beautiful. Oh my
Super
god!
exciting.
Yep.
So we're gonna bring back the rating system.
I guess.
You guess?
I guess.
What do you give this?
I'm gonna give this one.
First issue.
It's the first issue, so we'll give it a break.
Time's ticking.
I know. Probably 8 out of 12 color palettes.
8 out of 12?
Yep.
Alright, that's
8 out
not
of
bad.
12 color palettes.
A minus B plus
Yeah,
territory.
it's the first issue. You gotta
Mhm.
let it pick up. We don't know if it's gonna be any good. We're just
Definitely.
are really hoping it's going to be.
Yeah,
awesome.
I would definitely give it a B plus, maybe a little bit more than B plus, not quite an A minus category. And
Very specific.
oddly specific. Moving on to our next comic.
Moving directly from paper to the internet and paper together, which is interesting enough. Faith Erin Hicks has released a comic called Friends with Boys, and if you go to friendswithboys.com, you can read the first 20 pages of that comic. It's available in paperback form, but the interesting thing about it was that they released it entirely on the internet and then let you read it if you wanted, and then if you liked it, now you can purchase it. So it's available in graphic novel form, probably about standard manga sized, and the art's really cute, the story's really compelling, and I would recommend clicking on the link to go check it out. And then if you want, you can order it from Amazon, Indigo, whatever have you, but I would really recommend ordering it through your local comic book store.
So basically, it's available everywhere. So if you don't have a local comic book store, go to your big box bookstore. If you don't have any of those, you live in the middle of Hicktown nowhere, you've got the internet.
Exactly.
That's how you're watching us. I actually really like the first 20 pages of this.
Yeah.
I read it just before we got on the show. It's actually a really cool concept to put the entire thing on the internet. It's like, here, try this.
Yeah, and what's the neat part about it is that it's published by Blank First Second Comics, and they allowed her to do this. She'd completed the whole thing, and they were just going to publish it regularly, but she convinced them that the internet is the best place to put comics if you want people to read them, and so they allowed her to publish the whole thing digitally before putting it up for sale.
That's becoming more and more normal now, especially with comics.
Absolutely.
Sort of with ebooks as well.
And it's the best way to do it.
It is. It's really cool, because now I want this book. Curse you. And now moving on to things that we normally cover.
Yep.
Continuing our community streak, we have 2 bits of community news. First off, trailer! Yay!
It's epic.
It's epic.
Go watch it.
So it comes out next week. This week, if you're watching this show. As
It
it's
resumes
posted.
the 15th.
Yes. I'm good with time. And also, we have an animated short.
Yep.
It's pretty
Webisode,
cute.
if you want.
Mm-hmm. It's the first part. I'm not sure how many parts there are going to be. I think
I have no idea. I haven't
like
checked.
3 or
but
something.
It's cute.
It's quite cute.
It's short,
It's
like the
nice.
internet needs it to be. It's worth
Yeah.
watching.
It's nice.
It's nice.
And actually, there's not much to say about that except it's cool. You should watch it, and we should all watch Community when it comes out next week. On to something that we talked about here, I believe last week or the week before. That you hadn't heard about. Now you're super
No.
stoked. Jet Set Radio HD official trailer. So Sega released the official trailer today. It looks pretty sweet,
It looks really gorgeous.
and I want it.
Yep.
And it's not coming out until the summer on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live Arcade, and Steam, probably. Probably. And speaking of video games, GDC, Game Developer Conference, was this week, and a lot of really cool stuff happened. So much cool stuff that it's hard to find one place that collects it all. So we have given you a couple of things, including some trailers, Assassin's Creed 3, new Medal of Honor, and something that Scott is super stoked about,
Like the most stoked.
the most stoked about, SimCity 5.
Which,
Yeah.
Which actually isn't called SimCity 5, it's called SimCity.
yeah.
Yeah. But it looks really cool. EA has released a full trailer of it, as well as there have been some shaky cell phone video of gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which are rapidly being taken down.
Oh, rapidly, but if you search hard enough, you can find them. Probably in the comments in the article that we posted in the show notes. So I want that. It's coming out next year, 2013. No solid
Most
date.
things are slated for.
Probably spring or Christmas.
Yeah. Whatever they
face.
feel will make them the most money at the time, I'm sure.
Mhm. And new releases this week.
All right, so coming out in the actual movie section, we have John Carter, originally John Carter of Mars.
Originally Princess of Mars. Yeah.
It looks epic.
I'll go see
You
it.
want to see it?
I totally want to see it. I like sci-fi. I haven't read the original books.
No,
But-
neither have I.
No.
But it looks like an epic.
Mhm.
It's got neat creatures in it.
It's
It's-
definitely a theater movie. It's not
Mhm.
one that's like, oh, I'll wait till it comes out on DVD.
Yeah, no, if you're going to go see it, it seems like the scale is worth dropping your tenner to go see it in the movie theater.
Totally.
For sure.
This one here is a little bit
little
not what we usually cover.
to
It's
the
called
side.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's basically about a sushi chef and his son.
the best sushi chef.
The best. And his son who needs to take his place when he eventually retires and or dies.
There's a 3-minute trailer out for that.
Mhm.
It's basically sushi food porn.
As well as, a human interest story.
Yep.
Because it's sad and it's like this young guy has a lot of pressure put on him.
Limited release.
very limited.
I don't know if you could even see it if you wanted to, but it looks really pretty.
Definitely, you can probably pick it up on DVD. Usually limited release stuff either goes forever in the theaters and you'll never be able to find it, or goes to on DVD pretty quick.
Yep.
And one that'll probably go to DVD really fast,
Silent House.
Silent House. Horror movie.
Woohoo.
Set in a house,
She can't communicate with anybody, I guess.
I guess.
And then scary things happen
Mm-hmm.
because it's a horror movie.
Set in a house.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow. And DVD Blu-ray this week.
Immortals. If you didn't see it in theaters, I don't really know why you would buy it.
I hope you have a good home theater setup.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Really big TV.
Really big.
If you're gonna buy it, I guess you'd have to get it on Blu-ray because that's
Blu-ray.
the only reason it'd be worth it because it's definitely just like
It's a-
approximately 2 hours of eye candy.
Yeah, it's just eye candy. That's all it is.
Yep.
Very little. It's like razor thin plot.
Absolutely. But Game of Thrones season 1 is now out for
Yes.
those of you who are excited about that.
There's meaty plot, meaty eye candy, everything you would ever want. in a
Fantastic
fantasy.
music.
All the music. And the Emmy Award-winning opening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also Transformers Prime Season 1.
For those of you who like
For
Transformers.
those of you who care. Also, same people bringing you My Little Pony. Hey, Hasbro. Where's my Little Pony DVD? Series 1.
Bring it out.
Come on now.
You are almost done season 2.
Yeah. You release Transformers. Come on.
I'm gonna buy like 5.
I'll buy like 3. Yeah.
Also out, Monty Python and the Holy Grail on Blu-ray, which you're like, okay, it's been released in a bunch of different things,
Yeah.
but they
Okay,
have
what
they have an iPad interactive thing going on in there.
So it's like a companion app to go with the movie. It's called the second screen display.
Yeah.
So basically you're in sort of interacting with the movie, sort of getting extra tidbits,
Yeah.
kind of bridging the gap between like extra commentary and like extra features while watching the movie.
It's probably got some cool stop motion effects going in on it because
It's
that's
Monty
how they
Python.
roll.
That's how they roll. It looks pretty cool. Also, I'd pick this up on Blu-ray. I don't know how well it'll look on Blu-ray, but
My parents wouldn't give me my copy of the DVD, so I have to own it anyway. Might as well pick it up.
And games this week. The big blockbuster game.
All the game.
Oh, the game.
Mass Effect 3, guys.
Super exciting.
Out for everything.
All the consoles. We also have Street Fighter Cross Tekken or PS3 360.
Yep.
To get your classic arcade fighting fix.
And after that, we have
Major League Baseball. It's MLB 12, the
Oh,
show.
yeah, sports.
It's a sports game. One of the best-selling baseball games out there, actually.
Okay.
For PS3 and PS Vita. I believe there's cross-platform play with this game.
Okay.
So you can play with your PS3 friends and PS Vita friends and then go back and forth between your consoles, which is...
Which is good considering how new and shiny the Vita is.
I believe this is one of the first non-launch games to have this feature.
Pretty exciting.
Cool stuff.
Mario Party 9 for the Wii.
The first Mario Party game to come out since the Wii's launch, other than the DS game, which is also pretty sweet. Yeah,
Mario
and-
Party.
And that's it for Off the Press this week.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tech Insight for this week. We do have news to talk about, as was the Apple announcement this week. However, we have a hands-on review for you first. It's the Nokia Lumia 800,
Yep.
which just came out in Canada 2 weeks ago.
Last week.
Last week.
I picked it up last Thursday. I believe it officially launched on Friday.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you've had about a week to use it.
Yes.
It's your everyday phone now.
It
You
is.
switched from your Motorola.
Yes.
How are you liking the Windows Phone interface before we talk about
Windows
the
Phone
actual
interface, I really like it. It's super easy to use. Everything is, I won't say really customizable, but you can arrange things in the way you like it. The only thing that kind of bugs me is you notice here that the calendar icon is a 2x1 tile.
Yes.
There aren't enough of those. There's like only pictures and calendar.
So it's
built in.
predefined whether it's a 1 tile or a
Yes.
2 tile.
It would be nice maybe if more apps supported the 2 tiles, or Microsoft let more apps do the 2 tiles.
Or if you had an option between 1 and 2 tiles. Maybe that's
Exactly.
getting a little too much, but
Maybe, but I have like a lot of stuff down here. I'd kind of like to break it up with something other than my pictures because I don't really take interesting pictures.
so this is one of the first powerful, I guess,
Yes.
Windows phones to come out. We had the HD7, which was okay, and other than that, there's been
Other than the initial launch line of about a dozen phones, in
it's
Canada,
all low end phones.
Yeah.
The 610, the Lumia
mid-range,
610.
low-end phones. This is actually this and the 710 were the first ones to come out after that launch in a year. So we went a year in Canada without having any Windows phones.
Yeah, and any new Windows phones anyway. So you find the performance really good, fairly
Yes,
snappy.
Everything's super snappy. Some apps crash, but that's more of a problem with the app than with Windows Phone 7. Everything is super cool, super fast. This is app drawer. Pretty cool.
Are you missing any apps you had on Android? Because you did switch from Android to this.
Initially, I was missing stuff, but then I found replacement apps. It's not exactly how I would do it, but I'm coping. My only thing is I was really into Google Reader, Google Listen, so
Yes.
podcast management. I have about 40 active feeds. There was no really easy way of importing my feeds into any of the podcast apps. This goes with Zune, so it's kind of like Windows iTunes, which doesn't really have a fast or easy wireless sync. The only way to do wireless sync is after you plug your phone in for 10 minutes.
Interesting.
Like into a power outlet for 10 minutes, and then it'll start wirelessly syncing. But then, when I plug my phone in, I'm sleeping and my computer's off. So, yeah.
It kind of makes sense because if
It
you're going to
does,
do a
yeah.
large sync, you want to be plugged in so you're not wasting your battery. But I guess a lot of people that don't leave their computers on, so it's kind of a disadvantage there.
But even with Android or with iOS, when you do a large sync, they remind you, it's like, hey, you should probably plug in for this. Cancel or allow.
Not to mention
Wow.
wireless syncs take 1,000 years to complete.
Takes
so
1,000 years. This is
unless you're a really big syncer and you need new content every day, I would
Most
stick
people
to the
will-
wired sync.
Most people just, update a couple albums every once in a while.
Yes.
Most people also don't have 40 podcast feeds.
So you've liked Windows Phone.
Yes.
How about the actual hardware? What's the battery life like? How are you liking it physically in your hand? That kind of thing.
Physically, I found it a little bit small, but I'm also getting used to that.
Well, you were going from the Atrix, which is
the Atrix.
a larger sized
It's
phone.
just a little bit over 4 inches. This screen is 3.7, so roughly the size of the iPhone.
A little more average, yeah.
Yeah, I think the aspect ratio is a little bit different, but roughly the same size of the iPhone. I thought it'd be too small at first, but I'm getting used to it, and I really do like the size. Everything's super easy to use with my tiny hands. This might be a bit too small for you, but
Well, I'm waiting for the 900.
yeah, 900 could be a bit bigger. Battery life, I find it's really good. Average day, about 10 hours.
Because they have been saying there's massive problems with this battery life, apparently, which you haven't really
Apparently.
noticed.
I really haven't. I am an average user of the phone. I work. On the days that I work, I'm still, reading my Twitter feed, reading all my feeds and all that sort of thing on my lunch or when I have a couple minutes to kill. When I get home, I'll listen to 3 or 4 hours of podcast with the speaker
So,
on this.
so decent use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit above average use.
Although apparently you can look forward to the update because it's coming this week or next week.
It came out in, I believe, Singapore and India
Yeah.
this week. Soon for other countries.
It's supposed to be 3 times the battery life.
Yeah, which is obscene. So
Which
that's like,
I don't believe. Maybe 3 times the standby life,
yeah.
perhaps.
So there are. I heard reviews that the standby consumption is really bad on this, just because it pings everything for your live tiles and all
Yeah.
that. So that's supposed to be done better. Screen brightness is supposed to be done better in the new update as well. So that's something that also really bugged me. Screen brightness. There are only 3 settings: low, medium, and high.
Interesting. Not the perpetual fader as we get
Not the
in most-
slider. Me personally, I find the low really bright.
Now, you also said you didn't like the speaker necessarily on this.
The speaker is fine. It's just the range of volume. Let's say on the Atrix is about this. On this, it's about that.
So it sounds good, but you
Yeah.
can only listen to it really at one volume level.
Yeah, usually around 15 or 20.
So overall, what's your feeling rating out of 10, let's say, off of
Out
the,
of
the
10,
Nokia
I will
800?
give it a 7.5. But the extra 3 points is more my issues with how I use the phone than the actual phone itself.
So you'd recommend it if you want to look at a Windows phone, or even if you're looking for a, because it's not that expensive if
No,
you're on
it's-
contract.
I believe the introductory price, which I don't know when the sale ends, is $50 on a 3-year
Yeah,
contract.
I'm pretty sure that's correct. So,
I also read $24.99 somewhere, so that could be like a Best Buy or Future Shop
and the
sale.
buyout price isn't abhorrently bad either.
$529.
Yeah, which is
So.
not bad, but it's a higher end phone, so if you
Yes.
compare that to like a 4S or something, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the Nokia Lumia 800. Thank you, Sam, and Quinn will now join me for the rest of the segment. And we're back for the rest of the Tech Insight segment. So, as you know, it was the Apple iPad announcement this week. First of all, we're going to talk about the Apple TV 3rd Gen, because
Yes.
that was released very rapidly at the beginning of the keynote.
Yeah, unlike most Steve Jobs keynotes, which spend like the first half talking about how awesome they are as a company,
Yeah.
Tim Cook really spent about 10 minutes talking about what they did as a company, and here's our new Apple Store, and watch a video about our new Apple Store. And then he was like, Apple TV 3.
in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's completely announced and ready to go. So the Apple TV, they're just calling it the Apple TV. They're not having multiple generations or anything like that. It is the 3rd generation product. Physically, everything's the same except for the processor, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Same look, same form factor exactly, same ports, same connectivity. So it's running the A5, but a single core A5, which I guess is a little bit strange considering if you're going to use the A5, you might as well just use the ones you already have. But it's a single core A5, and essentially there's 2 main differences.
Yeah.
You're going to get 1080p output now, which is the only logical upgrade there. I mean, they had they're not going to support 4K, which also comes with it iTunes movies rentals and purchases, and TV rentals and purchases being in 1080p now, which is good because the only reason they provided that 1080p output is so you can use their 1080p content.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a new interface which you're not a big fan of.
No, I don't really like it. It's using more of like an app button bar at the bottom as opposed to the panel switch. I still really like the front row from the original one the best, but I really don't like this one. I feel like this is the worst version of it. However, that's not something that's going to be specific to the Apple TV 3. Apple TV 2 will be able to update to that.
Which we weren't really sure
get
of
all
for the
that.
while
So really,
yesterday.
all you're gaining by going out and buying an Apple TV 3 now is 1080p.
Yeah.
And the ability to support content at that resolution.
It's the same price. It's still $99 US. It's actually cheaper now in Canada.
$10 less in Canada, yeah.
But the American price didn't change.
So if you already have an Apple TV 2, I really don't think it's worth it.
No, you're still going to be able to rent movies on iTunes. You'll just only get 720p.
Yeah.
They're not going up in price to get the 1080p, so that's not changed at all. So if you still do, there's no point in upgrading. But if you wanted an Apple TV, it's maybe a little bit more compelling now.
Yeah, because now you can have the best resolution available on televisions
absolutely.
right now.
Now, what everyone wants to talk about, the iPad, not the iPad 3.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the branding a little bit later. But the device was pretty much exactly what we had expected.
It's true. All the rumors, none of the rumors are really all that crazy. And almost all of them were 100% accurate.
Yeah.
So the first big thing was it does have Retina display support, which is exactly double the resolution of the iPad 2. So it's 2048 by 1536, I believe.
Right. Yes.
Which is 1024 by 768 times 2. And it also has a new screen itself, which is supposedly supposed to have a better 44% better color saturation.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which should hopefully improve, in my opinion. I think that means it's going to improve the color gamut. So a better display resolution with better color reproduction. It's good stuff for us guys that use it as a photographic tool.
And it's important that they exactly doubled the resolution.
Yeah, because it's
that
going to
way-
make people changing apps a lot easier.
Or if you're using existing apps that don't support Retina display, it's not going to look bizarre.
Yeah, it'll scale really. It'll look the same as it would have before.
And it'll make the actual, for the developer, scaling of the app very easy.
Yes.
So that's the Retina display. They released a A5X processor, so not the A6.
So it's a dual-core processor with a quad-core graphics.
So basically what I'm gleaming from this is it's really an A5 with beefed up graphics.
Yes.
Which makes sense because there's no huge demand for processing power. You're not rendering tons of video in 1080p or 4K.
Yeah.
None of that's going on. You want to play games and use that new display. So to use that new display at all, we knew the graphics were going to have to get beefed up.
Yeah.
So the quad-core GPU is a good move. It's what a lot of the competitor tablets have been doing. Beefy graphics, scaled down CPU, also better for power.
Yeah.
So no big surprises there. They did demo some Infinity Blade dungeons, I believe.
Yes, which is looking very Diablo 3-ish.
Yeah, it looks good. They had a few other game demos.
We're definitely starting to
get.
get very close to console quality graphics out of this system.
Absolutely, and so it should, considering the PS Vita has console PS3 scale graphics in the handheld.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only challenge they run into is they won't actually be console graphics because of that ridiculous resolution.
Yes.
It makes it a little more challenging, but it is looking very good. So that's one upgrade. Exciting was LTE is now supported.
Yeah, so if you're on AT&T or Verizon in the States, or Bell, Rogers, or TELUS here in Canada, you can get LTE. All the major providers have basically said that the LTE service is going to cost exactly the same as your previous 3G service if you're upgrading from an iPad 2 with 3G.
Yep.
So that's great because we're looking at super fast downloads and upload speeds with no additional cost.
Yeah, so the pricing has stayed the same between the two, which is good if you want to move to LTE because the pricing of the device and the plan is the same.
Yeah.
But you get that sweet speed upgrade. However, if you don't live in North America, don't hold your breath for LTE, even if it's rolled out in your area.
Yeah.
They haven't signed on any deals with that at all. However, it still supports HSPA Plus.
Yes.
So you're still going to get those really fast 3G, 3G Plus speeds with it, even if you don't support LTE. So no big concern there.
Now, a common side effect we hear about LTE is poor battery life, and everyone was concerned that they might not do LTE because of that. But Apple is touting 9 hours of LTE versus 10 hours of Wi-Fi. So basically only a small difference as far as consumption, whether you're using LTE or Wi-Fi.
And that's exactly the same battery life as the Wi-Fi and 3G versions of the iPad 2.
Yeah.
So same battery life, however, it is thicker and heavier. So what we kind of postulated was that, yeah, the LTE's in there, but you're probably a larger battery to get that same. But realistically, we're talking like 0.11 pounds heavier. You're not going to notice that in your everyday going around.
Yeah.
And I think it's like less than 0.5 millimeters thicker.
Something like that,
It's
It's
not
like
a big-
8.7 versus 9.3 or something like that.
it's less than a millimeter. So that's, again, very similar.
And finally, they added a new camera to it.
Yes.
Basically, it's the camera out of the iPhone 4. It's a 5 megapixel. Well, it's kind of a hybrid. It's sort of halfway point between the 4 and the 4S.
It's like the sensor from the 4 with the optics from the 4S.
Yeah, so the sensor is 5 megapixels, unlike the 8 megapixel in the 4S, and it does 1080p, which is like the 4S and not like the 4.
Yes.
But so it's not really the same camera as either of those devices. It's really a midway point.
But the optics are apparently the same, the 5-lens optics they're using in the iPhone 4S. So it looks to be pretty good.
Apple
camera.
has some sample photos on their website, and it does appear to be delivering the results you would expect out of a 4 or 4S
Absolutely.
at this point. So, not that we recommend anyone take pictures or video with your iPad.
No, in fact, we like to actively discourage it.
But if you did, the results will not be terrible.
Yeah. Other than that, everything else is more or less the same. Form factor is the same. The front-facing camera is the same. It's basically the new iPad, which is what they're calling it.
Now, the one rumor that everyone expected that didn't really happen was it getting Siri. It didn't get Siri,
Yes.
but it did get voiceover controls. So it means that you can tell it to do
Well,
things.
no, it got voice dictation,
Yes, voice dictation, yes.
which is a Siri feature. Like, it didn't exist before Siri.
Yeah.
But there's no Siri built in whatsoever. So you can't talk to Siri back and forth, but you can dictate to, an email or text or iMessage or whatever.
Yeah. So that pretty much is a wrap up of the iPad 3, or what they are calling the new iPad.
Yeah, so starting at $499 in America, $519 in Canada. So exact same price as the iPad 2. And they're keeping the iPad 2 on sale at $100 reduced price.
So if you don't really care about the updates on the iPad 3, you can get the iPad 2 at a fairly good price. Although
And-
don't go in and ask for the iPad 3 because it's not called the iPad 3.
Yeah, no. And don't buy an iPad 2 thinking it's the new iPad,
No.
which people have been doing.
Because the iPad 3 is the new iPad.
Yes. And that's what they're referring to as. If you look anywhere on the website, it's the new iPad. And always the new iPad.
Yeah.
Never just iPad or new iPad or iPad. No. Anyway, we don't really like that branding decision only because they kept the 2 around.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, that's the way it is. Now we're moving on to a little bit of news from the rest of the world since Apple doesn't... There's a lot of app updates as well there, most of which are inconsequential. However, we will talk about iPhoto,
Yes.
which was the big new app in Behind the Lens later on. So back to Windows Phone. We saw Sam's liking Windows Phone, maybe getting a little bit popular with the better choice than Nokia phones. However, Windows Phone Tango is the new update. Not out yet, but it's coming. And Microsoft has kind of said, some cheap phones are going to get screwed at Tango. So Windows Phone has had this slew of inexpensive, not very powerful phones, which is great entry level to that OS because it's usually free on contract and cheap to buy out. However, their main problem here is a lot of those have something like 256 megabytes of RAM and not really more. So when you're going to Tango, they're going to limit. So if you have if you have an appropriate amount of RAM in Tango, you'll get these extra features, which you won't get if you have 256 or less. So things like you won't be able to manage podcasts, which I don't know why you need a lot of RAM for that. Fast app switching is gone.
You won't be able to upload to SkyDrive.
Yeah,
In the background?
Some not specified HD codecs will be unavailable. Background agents are gone, and what do they call them? Process intensive apps, such as a lot of games, are also not going to be available to those phones once you move to Tango.
Now, it's disappointing that this has happened to Windows Phone because they've been doing very good at having universality. but this is kind of normal because, I mean, the iPhone, the 3G, doesn't have half the features that the 4 has from software updates, and Android is fragmented all over the place. So, you know, it would have been nice for Windows to have been the, you know, the exception to that rule, but it's unavoidable.
Well, and I think Windows is kind of taking a decent path of doing it. Is they're still going to give Tango to those phones. They're just going to limit the experience.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a little better than the way Android does it, where there's no updates for you. So if there's a non-intensive app that requires a new version of Android and your phone doesn't get the update.
Yeah, they're following a little bit more in Apple's footsteps, who generally give some cut-down version.
Absolutely.
To a certain point.
Yeah. So
I mean, I would assume that whatever comes after Tango, these phones probably won't get any of.
very possible.
And that would follow in Windows or in Apple's footsteps because the 3G gets nothing now.
Yeah.
But, you know, a couple revs on hardware kind of makes sense.
But by the time something like that comes out, you're probably looking at a new phone anyway. And if you bought an inexpensive, cheap phone, you probably don't demand that much out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that many people are going to be affected, but it's something to be aware of if you were thinking about picking up one of those cheap. Like the Lumia 610 is $250 off contract.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. But I have a feeling it falls into this category.
Probably, yeah.
Last but not least, the Canadian content for the week. Rogers had an oops and a really good thing this week. They sent almost all their clients an email saying, we've upped your service and bandwidth allocation for free, but with empty spaces where they were supposed to tell us what they upped it to.
Yes.
And so I got that email and was excited because they've done this before. I went to their website and no, it's the same. I'm on Extreme Plus. That's 32 megabits down, 1 megabit up with 150 gigs. However, what they did do, they retracted the email later on with an apology, but this was supposed to go out to you Extreme users. So if you're on Rogers cable internet Extreme, which is...
You were previously getting 50 megabits.
50 megabits. You get 75 megabits now.
Which is fast.
That's the second fastest available residential connection in the country. If you live West Coast, Cogeco offers 100, but it's $120 a month.
Yeah.
So it's 75 megabits for $100 a month. So you're not paying a dime more. The rest of the packages increased in price as of March 1st, but the Ultimate did not. So $99.99 a month, 75 megabits, 250 gigabit bandwidth allowance.
Which I feel like at 75 megabits, you're going to blow through that pretty quickly.
I imagine, yes. But you can pay more for extra bandwidth from Rogers, which I'm sure they love.
Yeah.
But if you do want ridiculously fast internet, anywhere where you can get DOCSIS 3 Rogers connections, which is almost everywhere that offers Rogers service, you can now get up to 75 megabits.
Be curious to see if things like TechSavvy eventually start offering this kind of speed.
God, no.
No.
They still don't even have access to the 50 megabit tier. So
It's true, yeah.
That's what I would pine for if you're a third-party cable customer. Wait for 50 megabits, maybe next year.
Yeah.
They like to keep the top tiers for themselves, which I think is fair. They're paying for the infrastructure, so.
They got to have some sort of reason for you to spend more money with them.
Yes. So if you really want that slick, fast internet, that's the best you can get here right now, and probably in Toronto as well. So check it out.
And that brings us to the end of Tech Insight for this week.
It's kind of alive!
No, it's still dead.
Oh.
Hey everyone, welcome to Mad Science.
Heyo.
Starting off with something near and dear to your heart.
The U.S. Navy has been working on a railgun, the electromagnetic railgun, which for those of you who have not heard me blather on about this in previous episodes,
Many times.
many times, up to and including the time where I was trying to build one, they finally have what they are considering a marketable model.
A working model.
Yeah. So basically, BAE Systems or BAE Systems, that's what you want to call them. They're responsible for that infrared invisible tank.
Oh,
the
right.
one that could change its
Yeah.
profile. So they've actually come up with a design that works. Now this thing is firing basically a 23-pound bullet at hypersonic speed.
Good lord.
Yes, and it's using a buttload of power.
Yes, it is.
I believe it was 33 megajoules of energy went through the barrel of this gun. That is a lot. You are looking at, well, enough to basically take that thing and throw it over 100 miles. So you're pretty good. Now, the thing is, though, it's not being implemented.
Not yet.
No, they're still going to do more testing on this design for another 5 years. Also, most destroyers that they want to put this on do not have the power to actually to fire it.
This is really expensive and uses a lot of
Yeah,
energy.
it has a big punch, but that punch comes at a very big cost.
Oh my.
So the practical upshot is it's out of the lab, or it's almost out of the lab. It's at the point now where they have here's a platform.
Yep.
Here's the barrel. Now we just need to figure out how to make the projectile smart, not get fried, and have the barrel work for multiple fires
and make
in
it more
short
efficient,
periods.
of
And make it more
course.
efficient. So the inherent problem with railguns is they rely on a huge pulse of energy to throw a projectile. The only thing is, though, you more than likely create a lot of plasma while you're doing that, and that ruins the rails very quickly.
Okay.
So they need to figure out materials that can withstand the heat, because you don't want the rail to warp, because then you either lose contact or you jam. You don't want it to get pitting, which is actually really, really common with this kind of heat and with this kind of contact. So you don't want it to get pitted, because then you have the same problems. Or just melt, as it were. The Navy wants this thing to fire 10 times a minute.
That's not bad.
Right now, current system, if it could even fire 5 times a minute, would be molten. It'd be scrap. You wouldn't be able to use it. Not to mention you'd probably drain a city or two. So right now, these things are actually really great. If they were to put this onto a destroyer, it would only be able to fire as long as the boat wasn't moving.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what sci-fi had things like that. Certain things only actually, there was a lot of games. You couldn't fire the weapon of your car or your ship.
There's no mounted combat.
Yeah. Basically, it was like, okay, we have this, but we can't really use it, or else we stop.
Yeah. We can fire once, but if we miss, we're screwed.
Yeah. So that being said, it is in a new testing phase. I'm excited because they're starting to show that this technology is getting somewhere,
And
even on
once-
a macro scale.
And once this takes off, you're probably going to want to run away from it. And fast.
Really fast.
So fast.
Or they're going to mount it to this.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So what Sam is in reference to is Boston Dynamics Cheetah.
Our good friends, Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, who of
brought
course, once again,
who brought you Running Robot and Scary inverted
prancy.
limbs Dog Robot.
Yeah. So big dog.
Big dog.
Really scary. Even more creepy is the one they're trying to work on right now called the Gel Bot. This is one that it looks like an. Do you remember that video we showed you last week
it's
of
like-
that insect coming out of the egg?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how that was kind of like a sack of jelly that fit inside a hole or inside a thing this big? It's gonna do that.
Oh, awesome.
It's really creepy and gross. I don't want that in the vent system of any building I'm in.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I digress. DARPA has actually put some money toward this one.
Ooh, yay.
So DARPA's gotten involved with this. So the cheetah is a 4-legged running robot. Well, walking
Kind of the
robot.
crazy, faster cousin of Big Dog.
Exactly. And it's a little bit smaller, weighs a little less. It's going to be used mostly for reconnaissance, of course.
Okay.
It can move a lot faster. At least that's what I've been reading. It has broken the land speed record for running-legged robots, which is 18 miles per hour.
Wow.
So that doesn't seem like a lot.
No.
I mean, you can bloody motorbike will go faster than that. A normal cheetah goes faster than
Normal
that.
pedal bikes,
Yeah,
you can
normal-
usually do fast around that speed.
Yeah, you can probably
Your-
do actually even 20. You can do even
Your-
depending on your bike, you can go faster.
Your average cyclist who's,
Yeah.
average cyclist can do about that speed.
Absolutely. But this is a machine that is completely on its own and is
Does it have all the adaptive,
yeah,
Okay.
it basically is mimicking nature. I mean, if you look at the legs, there's of course a video if it's not playing already in the show notes, and probably all over YouTube by now.
yes,
It's kind of spindly legs, but spiky.
like a cheetah.
Yeah. The thing is, though, its adaptation is the fact that it's still running like a cheetah, and the fact that its 4 legs are off the ground with
Right.
each stride, and it's curving its spine to keep its balance
Oh,
and
cool.
and to actually spring forward.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. They've actually done a great biomimicry here, which is just they can scale the system up. That's the thing. They can make this go faster if they want. All they need to do is make it a little more flexible in some areas. They need to make it
More
well,
durable, probably.
more durable.
Yeah.
I mean, the materials they're using are durable, but they're honestly, from what I've been reading, they're not the best.
They're built for the lab, not for the field.
Exactly. So Big Dog's basically almost on the way of getting deployed.
Yep.
And that's because they figured out how to get it done. But they're taking the same sort of system for its balance and stability and putting it into something faster, which is horrifying, but really neat at the same
Yeah.
time, as all these robots are.
Oh, our robot overlords will have cats and dogs.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of creepy.
It'll be a
We're-
robot.
there's gonna be a
Little
true-
Asimo's gonna have his,
Release the hounds.
we'll have his guard dogs and his big cat pets.
Yeah. It's going to
Yes,
be pretty.
Asimo's just a very eccentric millionaire.
That's true, eh?
Yeah. I don't like this. I don't like this future.
they're
I'm
gonna
envisioning.
or Asimo's gonna inherit the Honda fortune, and then go really nuts.
He's gonna have like a gold Honda Insight or something.
Oh God.
I don't even know.
Oh, well.
Anyway,
But something that can save us from these
Yes.
robots: solar flares or coronal mass ejections.
Yep.
There was one that happened on Tuesday.
You probably heard about it on the local news.
I was gonna say, if you didn't hear about it in local news, then you're not missing anything.
No.
These happen often. Our sun is not a perfect star. It is not always. It's very stable in comparison to many other in the universe. Of course, we are still here. This one was supposed to be the second largest
Ever recorded.
ever recorded. Matter of fact, it was supposed to cause more damage than the other mass ejections and other flares and other storms that we had in January.
Interesting.
So those ones are supposed to knock out power grids, GPS, everything, phones.
Satellites, all that sort of stuff.
This one was supposed to do pretty much the exact same thing. As you can see, we are
There's-
still on the air.
Also, no widespread word of
Panic.
outages.
Yeah.
There are probably a couple of blips and little
Well,
things that
yeah.
are worth noting, but
Scott did mention that higher end GPS, like way the hell high end,
Yes.
was affected, but it was also around the poles, which is exactly how that's supposed to happen.
yeah.
The reason why we have Aurora Borealis, and I can't remember the one in the south. The
Southern Lights.
yeah, basically Southern Lights. I suck. All right, I can't remember
Yeah.
these names, but there's a reason why we have the North and Southern Lights. It's because that is this mass ejection being being basically diverted around
Yep.
most of the planet by our magnetosphere.
I heard that the
to the
Northern and Southern
poles.
Lights are tonight are going to be going a little bit further in than usual because
Yes,
of this.
they are going to be coming in
yeah.
a little further. I mean, we get them here in Ottawa.
From
You can
time
see
to time,
them. Yeah,
if you're outside of a big city and the clouds are clear, you can.
yeah. You
I'll
can
have a
you
look.
can generally see them. I mean, it happens. This is what
It
happens all
happens
the time.
occasionally.
You're not going to notice any kind of change, though. This is basically our planet taking care of us.
Yep.
That's how we are here in the first place, is because of our wonderful magnetosphere.
No big deal, guys.
Yeah. So I mean, they can be a big deal because they have knocked out power, they have knocked out communications before, but nothing as catastrophic as unfortunately people keep making it out to be.
It's not like you're going to lose cell phone reception for like hours.
Yeah. Or there was if you're in the eastern side of the states and also here in Canada in 2008 we had a big blackout. It wouldn't even it could cause that, but it shouldn't last as well. It could last
No.
longer, to be honest, depending on the damage.
Blackout was unrelated.
That was unrelated.
Yes.
There was no solar storm at that time.
Yeah, people were predicting this sort of blackout with this type of solar storm. It's possible, but unlikely.
Yeah, possible. Exactly, possible, unlikely. And so stop freaking out about it.
Yeah,
and if it
it's-
happens, what are you going to do to stop it?
It's still cold enough. You can put your food outside. It's all cool.
Exactly. So, basically that wraps it up. So we've got new robot overlords, new weapons for those overlords, and something that can hopefully stop them later in the future,
Hopefully.
so we don't end up in the Matrix.
Welcome to Behind the Lens for this week. On the top of the docket, we're talking about the 5D Mark III,
Yes.
which was officially released just after our show last week.
Yeah, so we finished recording usually around 11 o'clock at night, and then about 12:01, the Canon was officially released.
Yes.
The important thing to say is almost everything that we mentioned last week is accurate.
Yeah, the leaks were incredibly spot on.
Yeah, so it's about 1.5 megapixels more than the previous one. It's like 22.8 or something like that. So they didn't jump up in megapixels, which I think is a good thing personally.
I agree.
We've seen some videos so far, and the low light ISO seems to be quite spectacular on this camera. I think it's going to outperform Nikon in terms of that capability. So we're looking at 6 frames per second. It's shooting 1080p video. There's a bunch of different video options as well with it, which is nice. It will record up to half an hour, or 29 minutes and 30 seconds, or whatever,
Yes.
59 seconds. So that's good. It's finally gotten over its limit cap. There's a mic headphone monitoring port, which I think
Yes,
is really
which is
good.
great,
So
yeah.
if you shoot videos with the 5D Mark II a lot, this is a good upgrade.
Absolutely.
If you take stills with the 5D Mark II, it's probably not as much of an upgrade. Now, the autofocus is better, which is to say it actually has autofocus now, because everyone hates Canon's autofocus. But the autofocus performance is much better. 6 frames per second continuous shooting. Again, we are seeing better low light capability as well. So I mean, if you do a lot of street shooting, then it's pretty good. Big price jump though. $3,500 in the US. I think about $38's been what's listed here in Canada, versus the 24-ish that the 5D Mark II came out at, and the 25 that the Mark II goes for right now. So it's about $1,000 more than a Mark II. So that's a lot of cash for some features.
Well, that's the and they're keeping the Mark II for sale.
They are, yes.
So that
At
makes it
least
a lot-
for now.
Yeah, which makes it even maybe a little bit more of a complicated decision if you're thinking about switching but you don't know, or if you're thinking about buying one of these cameras, it might be an interesting decision between the two as well.
Yeah. So pretty much everything we mentioned last week was accurate, so we won't really go over it. But if you are looking for a new 5D, or you've been holding off, I think this is a really top-notch camera if you haven't bought one yet.
I think it's a very solid update from
Yes.
compared to a lot of other things that have been thrown around the photo world the last year.
Canon
or so.
tends to do really crappy updates across their lineups. This wasn't so much
Yeah,
of one.
absolutely. Well, and long waited, so it's a good thing it wasn't.
Yeah. Now, speaking of updates, we talked about Lightroom 4 coming out in public beta about, I think it's about a month or two ago.
Yeah. Around
Usually when these things come out in beta, they end up being there for a couple months, and then a couple months after that beta expires, you can get it. Well, Adobe's just like, you know what, we'll just sell it to you right now. So as of March 7th, I believe, the Lightroom 4 was available for order. Now, the big thing that everyone was super excited about was a huge price drop.
Yeah.
Cut it about 50%. You can buy a full version for $150, or you can pay $80 to upgrade from any of the versions. So if you had Lightroom 1, Lightroom 2, you can go, or Lightroom 3, you can go to Lightroom 4, which is great. And I love that they did include all the previous versions.
Yeah.
So I mean, even if you've been using your Lightroom 1 from 2007, because that's when I bought Lightroom 1, 2007. You can upgrade for $80, which is a fantastic price to go to it. Again, we talked about when it went into beta, lots of video support now, obviously new color management and all this kind of stuff, support for books, which I think is really awesome. So Lightroom 4, I think is definitely the best choice if you're looking for that
And you know what?
batch editor.
$150 is a ridiculously approachable price for regular consumers.
Absolutely.
Once you're much above that $200-$300, they're gonna think, well, do I really need it?
Am I a professional?
Yeah.
Is this worth it? But yeah, definitely at $150, it is one of the strongest photo editing programs on the market.
Absolutely.
Bar none. So that's pretty cool. I picked mine up the day it was available because I have been a Lightroom user since before it was called Lightroom. That's how much I love this program. But we're moving on to something a little less professional, and that is that Apple announced the iPhoto for iOS at the Apple event this week.
Really the only big software announcement from them this week.
Yes, and they did spend quite a bit of time demoing it, and I think, it made sense. People expected this was coming because we had iMovie and we had GarageBand and we have the whole iWork suite, so what are we missing? Missing iPhoto. So we're going to fire up iPhoto here and take a look at it. The initial me using it, there's some really nice stuff and there's some really bad stuff about it. So when we started off here, we've got this sort of albums on a glass shelf from 1980 look. It puts everything into sort of bundled albums.
They like faux shelves and faux realistic looks. It's
Yeah, Apple's really going for the idea of trying to make tools be real tools.
Yeah, which I don't know that I.
When we get into some of the editing, they use brushes to illustrate things, which is kind of weird. So if we go in here, we got, you have to excuse my voice, I've been sick for the last couple of days. We got some pictures of my cat here. So one of the things I do really like is it's very quick to flip through a couple of them. They've added some abilities to rank and mark things, so you can add things as favorites, you can flag them, and you can also hide ones that you're not interested in. Now this is important because then you can take an entire album and do something with it.
Yeah.
So because you can do this very quick, sort of sorting, it's going to be nice. Now, so this, for instance, this is a picture of my cat. This picture's out of focus. I don't want it. I just click this X down at the bottom, and it's going to go away. As soon as I swipe, it disappears from that album. Now, I can unhide those things later. This is one of my first gripes, is that managing iPhoto, managing the Photos app on the iPad when you actually want to delete photos is really, really annoying because you have to go through and select a bunch of them and then hit the delete button. And I was really hoping that because this was an Apple program, it would actually have control over the Photos app in terms of being able to delete photos for you.
Yeah, it'd break that file management barrier that a lot of these
So
other
you'd
apps
finally
can't.
have something with a little bit more of an intuitive interface to manage your photos. And unfortunately, this doesn't bring that. You can do flagging and ranking and hiding of photos, but you can't delete anything from in here, which I think is a big letdown for me. Because this would have been a really great way to, quickly swipe through your photos, find the one you don't want, and delete them.
Well, yeah, that way you'd almost never have to go into that Photos app unless you want to show off your photos.
Yeah, well, which you don't even have to either because they offer slideshows,
Well, see,
and you can go to full screen browsing on this as well. If I hide the edit tab, then we can pretty much look at this picture in full screen. So I was disappointed about that. Now we can get into some of the editing here. We'll jump over to another photo. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you've got a couple of the edits. Now this is part of where the program starts to be a little unintuitive, is that a lot of these edit controls are, a lot of these buttons are specific to the panel that you're on. So this little settings toggle in the bottom right-hand corner will be a different set of settings depending on which tool you're using at a time, which can be a little bit confusing. And I don't often have to look at the manuals for applications, but this one, you have this little sort of tooltip, and as you change things and go to different settings, it will tell you what all this stuff means. And I found I actually had to use it because some of it just wasn't intuitive. The biggest thing to compare this to is Snapseed, because that is by far the most popular photo editing program. And this one does employ the idea of being able to grab in the center of the picture and drag left or right, but it's just not as fluid as Snapseed does it. And if you don't sort of hit in the right areas or hold, you won't be able to do it. Like if I just sort of swipe back and forth, nothing happens, but if I push and hold and do it, then I can grab it. But if I push and hold and do up and down, I can't do left and right afterwards. I then have to do it a second time and do left and right. So it's a bit weird that way. And then if you want to undo, you can kind of endlessly undo here. But if you want to get back to the original, you're kind of like, oh, where do I go? You got to hit that settings down here and go reset exposure. And that down here is going to change every time you get to a different edit. I do like, though, that when you move things around, the little tooltips actually follow the items. I think that's kind of cool.
That's a very Apple thing to have.
It is, yeah. So if we get into some of the brushes here, you can see they illustrate it with actual physical brushes, and you can choose something. But I feel this is kind of a weird way of presenting that information.
Seems a little unnecessary.
Yeah, and the other problem I had is that when you actually get into a brush, I found that a lot of these brushes actually, when I start painting on the cat here, has very little effect. Some things have effects, some things don't. You're kind of wondering if you're even doing anything at all. You can go into the settings again, and it changes each time, and I can show the strokes, but then I don't really see what I changed.
Yeah.
But then I can also erase it. But if I change to a different brush, then this is going to just erase the lighten strokes and stuff like that. So, I mean, on one hand, there's a lot of finite control to it, but it's kind of weird how they go about all of it. So I feel like someone who isn't used to doing a lot of photo editing might find it more complicated than Apple necessarily wants it to be. And someone who does do a lot of photo editing is going to find the parts that they made simple overly simple. So it kind of misses the mark on both points. So I mean, if we go into effects here, you can see it's this sort of panel, and then if I choose something, then I can drag it. But if I just clicked it, I can do something. But I don't know to drag it unless I go and click on this tooltip, and then it says, oh, we'll drag a color. So like again, some of this stuff just isn't intuitive. So a lot of the times I found that I really had to read what the tooltips were for each adjustment, which I haven't had to do with a lot of apps. Now maybe that's just because they've tried to put so much into this, but I also feel like it's probably because it's sort of weirdly designed.
Well, that's the thing, is if you didn't have this, if this was one of the first photo editing apps and you had to do that, that's one thing. But if you found a lot of the comparable competition intuitive, it's a little concerning that this one's not as, when they're trying to directly compete with.
Now, one thing that I do think is kind of cool is their new journal feature. So the journal allows you to basically make a scrapbook of sorts of photos. You can send a whole bunch of photos to a journal, or you can add them as you go. But what's cool is that you can also add items to the journals. So if we click this little plus button, you can add things like a day, a map, weather, quotes, text, things like that. And you can also grab these items and sort of shift them around in the frame if you want to, and end up back at a position. Or you can grab something and then specifically adjust its sizes.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it's a little weird too, because like some things you can't adjust and some things you can, and you can't just sort of freeform place stuff. You have to move something to move something else. So if I wanted to move it up here, I couldn't just place this and then resize that image. I'd have to first resize this to be smaller, and if I went, this size, now I could grab this and drag it over here, and, so it's kind of weird sometimes. Yeah. But I think that if you like scrapbooking, I think it's pretty cool.
And those will sync with iCloud, correct?
They will, yeah. And you can also go in here and change a bunch of themes. So basically all the theme does is change what the background image is and whether or not your photos have borders. So there's not a whole lot that you can change about it. And some of them are just kind of boring and other ones look okay. But you can have a bunch of journals, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, overall, it's tough for me to say whether I recommend this app. Is it as good as Snapseed for editing photos? I don't think so. Is it a very, very fully featured app? Yes. For someone who doesn't have any photo editing apps, it's got some management. It's got some ability to, make journals. You can send photos to your Facebook and email, and you can beam them.
Actually, not Facebook.
No, it does have Facebook. Yeah, you can send stuff to Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's interesting because a lot of people pointed out specifically in the announcement that wasn't available.
And they've
So
also
clearly they were
included this
lying.
beam feature, which allows you to send it to other devices that have iPhoto on it as well. So, I mean, I feel like if you haven't bought anything yet, or you're just looking for something that's sort of an all-in-one, it's a good option. But if you have a couple of editing apps already, you're probably going to find this
A little redundant.
a little redundant because it doesn't do everything as well, and it does some things better and some things worse. You're probably just better off going back to the apps that do things really well on their own.
You've also got a megapixel limit, so anything bigger than 19 megapixels won't be...
Which is weird because the iPad 2 supports 21 megapixels. So I don't know what's up there. It
And,
also means that your 5D Mark II photos won't work on it.
Absolutely not, yeah. And forget about raw editing of any kind, of course. And $499?
$499, yeah. Same price as pretty much all the paid iPad apps. So it's same with the iMovie and GarageBand and everything like that. So meaning it's not a waste of money. It's just I wanted it to be more. It does some things well and then some things really weirdly. And my biggest thing is I wish it had more integration with management.
Yeah.
That's the biggest letdown for me.
So really, I think in summary, is that iPhoto brings a lot, but it doesn't bring a lot that you can't already get.
Yes.
Essentially. So check it out for yourselves if you like it. If you don't, maybe you'll find it very intuitive. Who knows?
Absolutely.
And that's it from Behind the Lens this week.
And that brings us to the end of the show this week. As per usual, if you want to get a hold of us, you can tell us that you're upset you bought that iPad 2 just 5 days ago and you had no idea an iPad 3 was coming, and so instead you'd rather just send it to us out of frustration. If you'd like to get a hold of us to do that, you can reach us at Twitter at @almost_Friday.
Or you can send us an email at contact@almostfridayshow.com.
Or you can hop onto Facebook and like our show page at The Almost Friday Show. So, you know how to get a hold of us. We're more than willing to take all those iPad 2s that you're frustratedly bought days before the
And for the love of God, if you're going out to buy an iPad and you want the best iPad, it is the iPad, not the iPad 2, that you should purchase.
It's the new iPad.
Yes, the new one, not number 2.
No.